Can the manufacturing sector in India become stronger? That is the topic. The whole idea of this debate is to ensure that the youngsters of today can get exposure and understand what challenges India faces in becoming a leader in manufacturing. You know, I from the numbers I gathered, from whatever I heard from both sides preparing, I think you know our 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 share of the global uh, manufacturing industry is extremely low, and I think it is like 4% or something, while for countries like China it is more like 24-25%. So for us to leapfrog forward, we believe that we have to become stronger in the manufacturing area. And today, by hearing both sides, we'll get a better understanding of where we are lagging behind and what we can do to fulfill the gap.
The first question is: India's current infrastructure, both physical and digital, robust enough to support a globally competitive manufacturing ecosystem? Let's understand some figures. Expansion of national highway network. National highway network has increased by 60% from 91,287 kilometer in 2014 to 146,195 kilometer, and length of national high-speed corridors has expanded
I
from.
don't know whether you are expecting us to understand what 146,159 means. Can you
Okay.
quote it in a number form? Yeah.
Okay, so it has increased by 60% from 91,287 kilometer to 1,46,195 kilometer. And length of national high-speed corridors has expanded from 93 kilometer to 2,474 kilometer at present. And same goes to length of four lane and above national highways that have increased by 2.5 times from 18,278 kilometer to 45,947 kilometer. As per Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, uh, total cargo handled is 817.98 million tons. And as shown by the graph, it shows the 10-year trend uh, till March 2024. Average ship turnaround time has decreased from 93.59 hours to 48.06 hours as per Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. And major Indian ports also reported it has reduced container turnaround time to 22.57 hours. Cargo handling grew 4.3% from 819 tons to 855 tons, and it is during the year 23-24 to FY 24-25. It highlights the resilience and capacity of major ports in accommodating rising trade volumes. As per Ministry of Communications, internet connections also jumped from 25.15 crore in 2014 to 96.96 cr in 2024. 4.74 lakh 5G towers installed with and 99.6% district coverage has been achieved. Now, again, as per Ministry of Communications, in April 2025, 1,867.67 excuse me, zero point 0.7 crore UPI transactions uh, have been managed, which was worth 24.77 lakh crore. Users, 460 million people used it, with 65 million merchants. And global share, India handled or managed 49% of global real-time transactions. And now the global reach of UPI is in more than 7+ countries. Coming to logistics performance index, India is right now ranked at 38. Overall, I mean, average LPI is 3.4 across components like customs, infrastructure, international shipments, logistics quality tracking, and timeliness. So implications are pretty obvious. in terms of the numbers show that there is a very strong physical and digital infrastructure. It's
Half a
already
minute left. Yeah.
and capable of supporting a globally competitive manufacturing system, in terms of rapid highway expansion that improves inland connectivity, higher port throughput, that also improves faster turnaround time, and universal mobile coverage and stronger LPI scores, especially in international shipments and timeliness that show progress in trade logistics as well.
Sir, question है sir, is India's current infrastructure, both physical and digital, robust enough to support a globally competitive manufacturing ecosystem? लॉजिस्टिक्स कॉस्ट रियलिटी चेक कर दे, इंडिया का लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट 7.97% ऑफ जीडीपी है। पहले 13-14% था। इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ है पर अभी ग्लोबली कॉम्पिटिटिव नहीं है। जापान का लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट 3.8% है, उसका 8.7%, और वहाँ के नेटवर्क ज़्यादा इफिशिएंट और टेक्नोलॉजी ड्राइवन है। चाइना का 14.1% दिख रहा है पर वो मिसलीडिंग है। चाइना का मैन्युफैक्चरिंग स्केल इतना बड़ा है कि उनकी पर यूनिट कॉस्ट इंडिया से काफ़ी कम है। ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन सिर्फ परसेंटेज ऑफ जीडीपी से डिसाइड नहीं करते, दे फोकस ऑन लाइक स्पीड हो गया, इंटीग्रेशन हो गया, रिलायबिलिटी और इफिशिएंसी भी मैटर करती है। तो इसलिए इंडिया अभी भी पीछे है। अभी पोर्ट के परफॉर्मेंस की आप देखते हैं, अभी वर्ल्ड बैंक के ग्लोबल कंटेनर पोर्ट परफॉर्मेंस इंडेक्स के हिसाब से इंडियन इंडियन पोर्ट का टर्न अराउंड टाइम 60 to 70 आवर्स है, और चाइना और सिंगापुर का मतलब 20 पर आवर से भी मतलब नीचे है। कुछ हाई परफॉर्मिंग पोर्ट्स भी जैसे मुंद्रा या विजाग है, पर ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर नेशनल एवरेज देखते हैं, आइसोलेटेड ऐसे एग्जांपल नहीं देखते हो। जितना ज़्यादा टाइम लगेगा उतना ज़्यादा फिर मनी भी लगेगा। अभी पावर सरप्लस इज नॉट इक्वल टू पावर रिलायबिलिटी। इलेक्ट्रिसिटी एक्सेस इंप्रूव हुआ है इंडिया में, जो अच्छा भी है, पर इंडस्ट्रियल यूजर्स फेस करते हैं कुछ प्रॉब्लम, जैसे हो गया वोल्टेज फ्लक्चुएशन, फ्रीक्वेंट आउटेजेस, हाई इंडस्ट्रियल ट्रैफिक हो गया, बैकअप जनरेटर कॉस्ट हो गया, जो कि मतलब 10 to 50% मतलब कॉस्ट बढ़ाता है। ये लैंड एक्विजिशन बॉटलनेक, ये भी एक बड़ा बॉटलनेक प्रॉब्लम है, मतलब बड़ा एक प्रॉब्लम है। अभी भी इंडिया इंडिया की बिगेस्ट बॉटलनेक ये लीगल डिस्प्यूट हो गया, इन्वायरमेंटल क्लियरेंस हो गए, और कंपेन्सेशन नेगोशिएशन फैक्ट्री को स्लो करते हैं। 80% न्यू मैन्युफैक्चरिंग स्टेट लेवल लैंड प्रोसेस पे डिपेंड करता है, और डिलेस कॉमन है। और वियतनाम और चाइना में लैंड एक्सेस फास्ट और प्रेडिक्टेबल है। कंज्यूमर डिजिटल इज नॉट इक्वल टू इंडस्ट्रियल डिजिटल। इंडिया को डिजिटल पावर हाउस बोला जाता है मोस्टली कंज्यूमर डिजिटल यूज के लिए, जैसे कि हो गया मतलब यूपीआई हो गया, एप्स हो गया, डेटा कंजम्पशन। इंडस्ट्रियल मतलब इंडस्ट्रियल डिजिटलाइजेशन अलग चीज है। अभी रोबोटिक के डेटा के हिसाब से अभी देखो, इंडिया में 4 रोबोट से पर मतलब 10,000 मतलब वर्कर्स पर, और वही देखो अपन चाइना में देखेंगे तो 246 है, और साउथ कोरिया में मतलब 1,000 है। साउथ कोरिया में मतलब वियतनाम में तो इंक्रीज हो रहा है, मतलब डे बाय डे इंक्रीज ही हो रहा है उधर। यूपीआई एडॉप्शन का मतलब नहीं है कि फैक्ट्री ऑटोमेटेड है। इंडस्ट्री 4.0 के लिए क्या अपने को रोबोटिक चाहिए, सेंसर चाहिए, आईओटी इनेबल फैक्ट्रीज भी चाहिए, तो चीजें मैटर करती है ये भी। ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन फेयरनेस से नहीं, परफॉर्मेंस से अपन जज करते हैं। आइसोलेटेड सक्सेस स्टोरी भी है, मतलब कुछ अच्छे पोर्ट्स या एप्स पूरे सिस्टम को रिप्रेजेंट नहीं कर सकते, और नेशन वाइड इफिशिएंसी भी रिक्वायर्ड है। तो मेरा फाइनल कंक्लूजन सर यही है कि ग्लोबली कम्पिटिटिव मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के लिए अपने को इफिशिएंट लॉजिस्टिक्स चाहिए, फास्ट ऑटोमेटेड पोर्ट्स भी चाहिए, स्टेबल और लो कॉस्ट पावर भी चाहिए।
So, first of all, logistics cost you mentioned, Abhay. Logistics cost, it's not a great problem, and in spite of the cost, whatever is there, India has still progressed, as already we have shown through data, right? And as you can see through the PLI, or I would say Performance Logistics Index, wherein the India has ranked 34. So it's a very good number, and the average is 3.4, right? So
नहीं, या
in spite of the fact that logistics cost and anything is there, of course, but at the same time, you can understand that it is still ranked just over 30. So out of 139 countries. So it is not a problem or a constraint at all. Coming to turnaround time, you said around 70 to 80. That is not accurate data. Turnaround time, as we have shown, has decreased to 48.06 hours.
Yeah, Deep, but India का लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट 7.97% ऑफ जीडीपी है। मैं मान लेता हूँ, मतलब अभी कम हो गया, पहले 13-14% था, पर अभी भी मतलब चाइना का 14.1 है। पर चाइना का स्केल इतना बड़ा है कि पर चाइना के लिए ना पर यूनिट कॉस्ट बहुत कम है वो, मतलब इंडिया के लिए ज्यादा है। सपोज अपन 100 रुपए में 1000 ट्रॉफी खरीदते हैं, और एक बंदा 100 में 500 ट्रॉफी खरीदेगा, तो अभी कॉस्ट किसको कम लग रही है? जो 1000 खरीदेगा उसको ही कम लग रही है ना। इंडिया का मतलब जीडीपी कम है चाइना के कंपैरिजन में, पर बट चाइना की स्केल बड़ी है इंडिया की, मतलब इंडिया से। तो इसलिए मतलब उसको पर यूनिट कॉस्ट कम लगती है चाइना को इंडिया की वजह से। और अभी आप बोल रहे थे कि इंडिया का मतलब टर्न अराउंड टाइम है ना पोर्ट्स का, वो ज्यादा है 60 to 70 आवर। तो वर्ल्ड बैंक के ग्लोबल कंटेनर पोर्ट परफॉर्मेंस इंडेक्स के हिसाब से इंडिया का मतलब 60 to 70 आवर्स है, और यही चाइना का 24 आवर्स से भी कम है।
तो दीप, यू सेट कि नेशनल हाईवे 60% बढ़ गए हैं, राइट? तो बट मोस्टली हाईवेज, अभी मैं एनएचआई की रिपोर्ट देखता हूँ तो उसमें तो सिर्फ 43% हाईवेज हैं, वही 4 लेन है, ठीक है, या उससे ऊपर है, बाकी सारे सिंगल लेन है, 2 लेन है। और सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम क्या है? कंजेशन और एवरेज स्पीड की, राइट? नेशनल हाईवेज पर ट्रक्स की एवरेज स्पीड कितनी होती है? 30 to 40 किलोमीटर पर आवर, राइट? और वहीं चाइना में क्या होता है? 80 to 90 किलोमीटर पर आवर, ठीक है। तो फ्लो और स्पीड यहाँ पे दोनों अलग अलग है, तो ये पॉइंट तुम्हारा आई डोंट थिंक कि वैलिड होगा। सेकेंड चीज़, जो सेट की डेडिकेटेड फ्रेट कॉरिडोर्स बने हैं हमारे पास, राइट? तो डेडिकेटेड फ्रेट कॉरिडोर्स का सिर्फ 58% हिस्सा है, वही अभी ऑपरेशनल है, अभी 2025 तक, राइट? बाकी का ऑपरेशनल ही नहीं है। वेस्टर्न डीएफसी पर तुम अगर जाओगे तो एवरेज 100 किलोमीटर पर आवर की स्पीड है वहाँ पे, बट लेकिन ईस्टर्न डीएफसी, ईस्टर्न डेडिकेटेड फ्रेट कॉरिडोर्स पर 40 से 50 अराउंड है।
So, first of all, of course, the expansion actually has improved inland connectivity. That was not, so much efficient 10 years back. So, it has improved. Rapid highway expansion, in a way, has improved inland connectivity, which is crucial for manufacturing hubs. And also,
Okay,
it has cut down transit time because there
Deep,
is.
let me rephrase the question that is being asked, right?
Hmm, hmm,
You are talking about improvement, the other side is talking about bottlenecks, right?
hmm,
But
hmm.
we have no clear idea, like you are saying 1.14 lakh or certain amount of miles is now available. What is the requirement? Kitna miles chahiye for us to be able to perform as a manufacturing leader? What is that number? Because until we hit that number, we are not going to lead, right? The fact that we are improving is almost like एक बच्चा क्लास में 33% लाता था, अब 27% 37% लाने लगा है, right?
Right.
Of course, that is improvement. We are improving as a country. We are improving, but are we going to be able to compete at the global level? That is the real question, right?
Right now it's pegged at 38. I mean, it has.
No, no, 38 is not a very good ranking. We are the fourth largest economy,
Hmm,
right? If we are the fourth largest economy, we should be fourth in every list. Why are we 38th in a list and feeling good about it?
no, at least the India has improved. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
नहीं
I'm.
improve का कोई challenge नहीं कर रहा. That's
Hmm,
what I'm saying. अगर एक बच्चा 33% ला रहा है, if he's
hmm.
getting 33% and he suddenly starts passing with getting 40%, he's still not competing with the leaders in the class, right? What does
No,
it
but
take
the
for what will it take for us to get there? That is the question, right? So,
no, but the question is that whether it can support a globally competitive manufacturing ecosystem.
so yeah, answer that. So we have to answer that question. It's not even a question posed to you.
Hmm.
As a community, we have to be able to answer that question. What will it take for us to get there?
Second question: can India realistically challenge China or Vietnam as a global manufacturing hub, or is it better positioned as a service-led economy? So this is the current scenario wherein, as per manufacturing value added percentage of GDP, India is pegged at 12.5%, versus China 26%, Vietnam 24.4%. Manufacturers exports percentage of merchandise exports. India is at 67.1%, China 91.2, Vietnam 85%. And FDI inflows, India has 27.6 billion USD, China 163.2 billion USD, and Vietnam 18 to 19 billion USD prox. Now, apparently, uh, from the summary, it actually says that okay, China still has a substantially larger share of GDP. Even in terms of export structure, China and Vietnam actually share a higher share of manufacturers, and also in terms of FDI inflows, larger capital inflows. Okay, with respect in case of China and Vietnam compared to India. But here is the story wherein, for instance, if we look at manufacturing GVA or gross value added, that is one of the major metrics for manufacturing contribution to the economy. It has again improved from 21.9 to 24.6 lakh crore. That's an 11.9% growth in FY 23 to 24. Despite a lower GDP share, absolute manufacturing output is rising fast, indicating expanding capacity, not stagnation. And rapid GVA growth helps India gradually. Actually, it narrows down the gap between with peers like China, Vietnam. So it is actually focused on building export focused capacity, focusing on some key sectors like electronics, pharma, auto components, textiles. And India is actually focusing on these sectors, understand some figures. For instance, this was the total domestic production, okay, in and it's just a 3 years number, wherein electronics 5 lakh 50, I mean, it's in crores, wherein 55 lakh 4,000 crore, and then 95 lakh 2,000 crores. It has increased with a CAGR of 17.47%, and total growth over 3 years is 71.85%. And coming to exports also, in the same sectors, electronics, pharma, auto components, as we can see, the total actually CAGR with electronics leading 47.5, and then auto components 21%, 4% pharma, and textiles apparel.
So the question is, can India realistically challenge China or Vietnam as a global manufacturing hub, or it is a service-led economy? So the big picture is why these questions matter. So let me begin with a very simple thought. If India were truly on the path to becoming the next China or Vietnam in manufacturing, the numbers would already be showing it. Manufacturing giants don't emerge suddenly. They show long, consistent movement in three areas: manufacturing share of GDP, share of export, and share of employment. But when we study India's trajectory and when we look at the plots in front of us, the direction is clear. India is not converging with China and Vietnam. In fact, the gap has widened over the last 25 years. Look at this data. Manufacturing as a percentage of GDP, China stands at around 25%, Vietnam 24%, India is at 12.5%. And what's worse is not the number, but the trend. China and Vietnam show long-term stability in their manufacturing share, while India's curve barely moves, stuck between 12 to 14% for 2 decades. This doesn't look like a country preparing to challenge global manufacturing leaders. It looks like a country whose economic DNA lies somewhere else. Let's shift to the manufacturing export power. This is where true factories of the world show their strength. China command more than 14% of global manufacturing export. Vietnam has crossed 1.5%, and India remains around 1.8%, flat for years. The number is not rising, and that flat trend tells a bigger story than any slogan ever could. If we were becoming the next big manufacturing hub, this number would be moving sharply upward. But it is not. China at 68% value inside its own country. Vietnam adds 55%, but India adds only 37%. And by some reports, India can add 40% in next 20 years. This is proof that India is not a manufacturing base, it is an assembly base. We import components, put them together, and export the final product with very little domestic contribution. To reach China's depth, India would need 150 to 200 billion in investment, 15 to 20 years of continuous ecosystem building, more than 1,000 suppliers inside each industrial cluster, and a strong R&D culture, none of which can be created overnight. Manufacturing is not a policy. It is an ecosystem. An ecosystem cannot be forced into existing existence by slogans. Look at the workforce. China has nearly 30% of its workforce in manufacturing. Vietnam has 27% and India has 12%. And out of that, only 2.5% of our workforce is formally skilled. You cannot run precision manufacturing with untrained labor. You cannot produce high-tech goods with informal skill set. India would need to move 70 to 80 million people into factories to match Vietnam. That transition has simply not happened in 25 years, and nothing indicates it will suddenly happen in the next 50 years.
The message is very clear from both sides. We understand that India is improving. We also understand that India is not where it should be, right? Both those messages are clear. The debate is not about these two messages. The debate is about whether we have the willpower, the resilience, the resources to make it happen. How do we go from here to there? That is the question. The question is not where we are or how we got where we are. The question is how do we go from here to where we should be? Just sharing my thought.
Sumit, first point, you showed the data of last 25 years,
Hmm.
wherein we have already showcased the recent years data. Last 25 years don't validate, can't become a competitive manufacturing hub, and it can't compete with the leaders or maybe those who have outpaced them. As already showcased through the manufacturing, whether it's domestic consumption or whether through export data, that it has India has been improving at a faster rate, and the government has got a policy wherein it is like a production linked incentives, wherein they are focusing on some uh, critical sectors, like for instance what we have shown, like electronics, pharma, auto components, textiles. And
Hmm.
India is rapidly improving, as also shared through the data, with let's say total growth rate over last 3 years have been observed and at an average of around 75%. I mean, electronics 71, pharma 31.42%, 80.14, and 134%. That is the domestic production we are talking about.
So first thing you said about electronics export, pharma export and auto components, right? तो बेसिकली देखो दीप, क्या है ना कि जैसे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स की हम बात करते हैं, तो हम इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स पे जो जो एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं ना, उसमें 15% ही डोमेस्टिक थिंग्स हैं। बिकॉज हम 80 to 85% कंपोनेंट्स पहले इंपोर्ट करते हैं, फिर उनको इंडिया में असेंबल करते हैं, और फिर हम एक प्रॉपर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक आइटम बना के उसको एक्सपोर्ट कर देते हैं। तो दिस इज़ नॉट अ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग थिंग, दिस इज जस्ट असेंबली थिंग। ठीक है, तो इसमें नंबर्स बहुत ज़्यादा दिखाने का मतलब ये नहीं है कि हमारा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग पावर बढ़ रहा है। ठीक है, तो ये एकदम बेसलेस थिंग है। ठीक है, सेम एज फार्मा में भी है। फार्मा में भी अराउंड 70% जो एपीआई होते हैं, एपीआई मीन्स कुछ केमिकल्स वगैरह और जो रॉ मटेरियल होता है वो सब, वो हम अभी भी हम बाहर से इंपोर्ट करते हैं, मोस्टली चाइना से करते हैं। इट्स इन द बेन रिपोर्ट ऑल्सो। ठीक है, तो जब हम 70% बाहर से इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, उसके बाद फुल पैकेज बाहर से एक बैग बना के उसमें पैकेज करके एक्सपोर्ट कर दे रहे हैं, तो दैट डजंट मीन कि हम मैन्युफैक्चर कर रहे हैं ना, हम तो सिर्फ असेंबली कर रहे हैं। तो तुम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और असेंबली में कंफ्यूज हो रहे हो।
Do you have any idea about the margins?
Yeah, about the margins. Okay. 1 second about the
नहीं है
margins.
तो don't get distracted by me. I just
No, no,
want
no.
to
Hey,
share.
just I have some one example for
Okay.
semiconductor. ठीक है, सेमीकंडक्टर्स अभी हम पूरा इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं 100%, राइट?
Hmm.
अगर हम उसको अपने डोमेस्टिकली इकोसिस्टम बनाएंगे उसका, तो 12 to 18 बिलियन डॉलर लगेगा पहले तो। ईयरली रनिंग कॉस्ट लगेगी, और 300 बिलियन डॉलर लगेंगे हमें उसको बनाने में। ठीक है, तो जो इंपोर्ट करने का कॉस्ट है हमारा, और जो डोमेस्टिकली बनाने का कॉस्ट है उसमें काफ़ी डिफरेंस आ रहा है, यानी कि हमें इंपोर्ट करना चीपर पड़ रहा है इसमें।
So the third question is, have government initiatives such as Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat delivered tangible results, or they are just aspirational slogans? So our slide shows that Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat are not just merry slogans, but powerful engines of economic transformation, where we have shown four indicators, wherein first is FDI inflows in year 24-25, which is $81.04 billion. Foreign direct investment is the ultimate vote of confidence from global businesses. They are voting with their capital. They see the policy stability and growth potential in India, and that's the reason they invest. So you don't invest such a huge amount of 81 billion on a merry slogan. You invest in the market opportunity and policy clarity. Second is PLI disbursals, which is production linked incentive scheme. We have disbursed over 21.5 thousand crore in cumulative incentives. This scheme is directly tied to like new production, new investment, and new jobs, new employment. It proves that manufacturing is reaching a competitive scale. Third is GVA, which is gross value added, has hit 24.6 lakh crore. This is the fundamental measure of sector's contribution to the nation's wealth, where this figures that we are not just like assembling, but performing high value manufacturing and substantially increasing our output, like economic output. Fourth is manufacturers export. So manufactured goods now account for 67.1% of our merchandise export, which indicates the global competitiveness of India. Where we saw the numbers briefly, which was 81.04 billion in FDI in year 24-25. So this single bar is not static. It basically represents like thousands of jobs. So ask yourself, why would a company commit like a multi-million dollar investment in a foreign country? There must be some reason behind it, right? Like basically it's not like a newspaper ad. It's certainly, and then of course it's not a slogan. There's a thought behind it. The fact that FDI is rising demonstrates the market risk has gone down and saw a rise in growth potential. And of course, thanks to both the slogans, which is Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat.
The question is, have Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat delivered results? Start with the promise. When Make in India was launched in 2014, it came with enormous promise. It told us that India would finally manufacture what it consumes, that that import would fall, that we would reduce dependence on foreign countries, and that million of jobs would be created. And when Atmanirbhar Bharat arrived in 2020, the emissions was raised even further. Now, India would become self-reliant in electronics, defense, semiconductor, solar energy, and pharmaceuticals. The intent behind these policies was inspiring, but in public policies, intentions do not matter. Outcomes do. And the simplest way to measure the outcome is by asking a brutal question: did India actually reduce its foreign dependence or not? Because true self-reliance is not about opening factories, it is about replacing imports with domestic capabilities. Take electronics, which was supposed to be transformed under Make in India in 2014. India imports about 37 billion worth of electronics. Today, after a decade of reforms, the figure is nearly $78 billion. That is not decline. That is a doubling. Solar equipment was another priority area, yet China still accounts for 85% of India's solar imports. In pharmaceuticals, India is often called the pharmacy of the world, but we still depend on China for 70% of the APIs that make those medicines. And in semiconductors, the reality is even harsher. India imports 100% of its chips. If Make in India or Atmanirbhar Bharat were working in a structural way, these imports, these import numbers should be falling. Instead, they have risen across every major category. What we build is not self-reliance. What we build is an assembly economy. The best example of this illusion is a smartphone. We often hear that India has become the second largest smartphone manufacturer in the world. That sounds like a major victory. Until you look at value addition. According to the India Form to 2025 analysis, China adds about 25 to 30% value to a phone manufactured there. Vietnam adds 15 to 20 and India adds 12 to 15%. This means a 20,000 Indian smartphones contain roughly 16,000 of the imported parts. So, yes, the phone is assembled in India, but the electronics, the chipset, the sensors, the display, and the battery component at the precision parts still come from abroad. We increased output, but we did not increase domestic capability. That is the difference between manufacturing and assembly. According to the World Bank, India's manufacturing share was around 16% in the mid 1990s. After 30 years of reforms, schemes, slogans, subsidies, and FDI campaigns, that number is approximately 12.5% today. In the same period, Vietnam rose from around 14% to 25%, and China rose from 20 to 34, 20 to 24 at its peak.
Sumit, so you talked about a number of things. So first of all, coming to this policy, wherein you said that there is a lot of dependence on electronic goods. So as we have already shown before, that there is actually a huge number in terms of electronics domestic production. Okay, and if even if there is a number that is 78,606 crore, and if we just deduct that also, it will come to 4,75,394. That is, I'm talking about only domestic production in the electronic sector. Okay, and then coming to the pharma sector as well, there's again we have shown that already there is a growth, and 4,17,345 crores.
So you are saying PLI investment, right? PLI. So 21,500 crores right now, but PLI incentives 1.97 लाख करोड़ का टारगेट था, बट हुआ सिर्फ 21,000 ही, राइट? जो कि टारगेट इंडिया का ही टारगेट था, ये मेक इन इंडिया का टारगेट था, किसी और कंट्री का नहीं, तो ये भी रीच नहीं कर पाए हम, राइट? सेकेंड चीज यू सेड कि FDI मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सर्ज टू $81 billion. The number is actually high, but total manufacturing FDI inflows hits $165 billion from 2014 to 2024, a 69% jumps from the previous decade. But here's the rub. So this is 25% of India's total 709, I think, billion FDI since 2024, 2014, with service gobbling 50%. Investors are betting on our 1.4 billion consumers as a market, not factories. Only 70% of FDI target manufacturing versus 40% in China and 32% in Vietnam. Compared to China's 2 trillion manufacturing FDI same period. This is a consumption case, not ecosystem building. When subsidy ends, it shifts to Mexico or Indonesia again, right?
One more question to Roy or Shonak, whoever is comfortable to answer. That let's say for an example, these Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India wasn't introduced in back in 2020, 2014 till now. अभी तक होता ही नहीं. So do you really think that what is the growth is already having in India? ये नहीं होता बिल्कुल भी. Just because of the Atmanirbhar Bharat, India has grown such a way.
There are a number of factors. It's very difficult to say that because of Atmanirbhar Bharat or because of any scheme, or
Mhm.
let's say anything, it has grown. Only thing, of course, because of introducing something, some things are have also evolved or have taken place, emerged, I would say. For example, the PLI. Okay, and for example, the strategy to focus on a particular, I mean, very specific sectors.
I mean, the point is, in my mind, the manufacturing industry is in crisis mode. Right? It needs serious resuscitation to survive.
So the fourth question is India prepared for the fourth industrial revolution, automation, AI, and green manufacturing, or will it face job displacement and inequality? So India isn't fearing automation and AI. We are preparing to win for the same. The World Economic Forum shows a clear shift. That is, 35% of Indian companies expect AI and automation to fundamentally transform their operations. India is among the most optimistic nations for adopting AI, robotics, and advanced manufacturing. And the industry is already investing in semiconductors and computing, which are the core of digital manufacturing. And the optimism is matched by government strategy through the AI mission and Niti Aayog. India isn't just acknowledging AI; it's integrating it directly with industrial policy. The AI for Viksit Bharat reports estimates around 85 to $100 billion, which is added manufacturing value by 2035. And AI-enabled supply chain optimization can cut logistics cost by 10 to 15%, making Indian goods more competitive globally. Plus, green manufacturing is the explicit pillar, ensuring future growth in clean and sustainable development. So yes, automation changes jobs, but we are responding by building, like high value industrial base for the future jobs which can come. So the bottom line is India is ready for fourth industrial revolution because our industry is optimistic and our policies are aligned. We recognize the challenge that the World Economic Forum says 63% of Indian workers will need reskilling by 2030. We aren't denying this, but we are planning for the same. We built the largest skilling engine through Skill India, PMKVY, that is Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, and NSDC, that is National Skill Development Corporation. Training is shifting from traditional trades to future skills like AI, robotics, and data analysis. And lastly, so in conclusion, that this validates that India is ready for fourth industrial revolution with policy alignment, industry adaptation, and massive workforce upskilling. Our manufacturing sector isn't just getting bigger; it's getting like smarter and is built to lead the next industrial production.
Is India prepared for Industry 4.0 or will it face job displacement and inequality? इंडिया ऑटोमेशन से हम बात करते हैं। इंडिया तेजी से प्रोग्रेस कर रही है और ये हमारे लिए प्राउड मोमेंट है, लेकिन इम्प्रूवमेंट का मतलब रेडीनेस नहीं होता है। इंडस्ट्री 4.0 सिर्फ मोबाइल असेंबली हो गया, जैसे डिजिटल पेमेंट्स या हाईवे कंस्ट्रक्शन में प्रोग्रेस नहीं है। ये चेक करता है कि पूरा इंडस्ट्रियल इकोसिस्टम चेक करता है, जैसे स्किल्स, ऑटोमेशन, R&D, लॉजिस्टिक्स, सेफ्टी नेट्स और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेसिटी ग्लोबली कॉम्पिट कर सकता है या नहीं। और इनोवेशन इन्वेस्टमेंट अभी देखो, अब इंडिया जीडीपी का सिर्फ 0.7% लाइक R&D में इन्वेस्ट करता है, चाइना 2.4 इन्वेस्ट करता है, साउथ कोरिया लगभग 4% इन्वेस्ट करता है, यूएस 3.4 करता है। इंडस्ट्री 4.0 इनोवेशन पे बेस्ड है और इंडिया का R&D बेस ही इतना छोटा है, तो कैसे कम्पीट कर सकता है। अभी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का भी देखते हैं, एमएसएमईएस का, तो 99.4% इंटरप्राइजेस एमएसएम है, ये जीडीपी का लगभग 30% कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं। लेकिन ज्यादातर के पास ऑटोमेशन सिस्टम्स या रोबोट्स हो गए, जैसे एडवांस मशीनरी खरीदने के लिए कैपिटल नहीं होता है इंडिया की कंपनीज में, क्योंकि वो छोटी होती है। कंपेयर करें चाइना के एसएमएस के साथ, वो जीडीपी का लगभग 60% कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, मतलब इंडिया से डबल ही करते हैं। इंडिया 30 करता है तो चाइना 60% करता है कंट्रीब्यूट। उनका स्केल बड़ा है और फाइनेंसिंग भी बेटर है। तो इंडिया के मिलियंस इंटरप्राइजेस है, लेकिन ये छोटे, फ्रैगमेंटेड और मतलब अंडर कैपिटलाइज्ड भी है। तो जल्दी इंडस्ट्री 4.0 अडॉप्ट नहीं कर सकता इंडिया। अभी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बेस देखते हैं, इंडिया का मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जीडीपी का 60% हिस्सा देता है, लेकिन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स सेक्टर अभी भी ज़्यादातर असेंबली बेस्ड है, जहाँ सिर्फ 12 से लाइक 15% वैल्यू एडिशन होता है। तो इस असेंबली मॉडल का नुकसान ये होता है कि प्रॉफिट कम मिलता है पर इनोवेशन लिमिटेड होता है। तो और ऑटोमेशन के टाइम जॉब ज़्यादा रिस्क में भी हो सकती है।
अब है तो आपने हाईवे कंस्ट्रक्शन की बात किया, तो हाईवे कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ कोर्स फर्स्ट जो क्वेश्चन था उसका आंसर में ही हम लोग आंसर दे दिए थे कि कैसे इम्प्रूव कर रहा है और कैसे ड्रास्टिकली इम्प्रूव कर रहा है। रही बात लॉजिस्टिक्स का, तो लॉजिस्टिक्स भी बहुत ख़राब तो है नहीं। जो पीएलआई है, मतलब जो लॉजिस्टिक्स इंडेक्स है, जहाँ पे दिखाया गया है कि लॉजिस्टिक्स में भी इंडिया बहुत पीछे नहीं है। अराउंड टोटल रैंक है 38। हाँ, आप बोल सकते हो, आप जब कंपेयर किया तो चाइना और वियतनाम से, हालांकि ये क्वेश्चन कंपैरिजन का है नहीं। इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन 4 के लिए रेडी है कि नहीं, उसके लिए ये क्वेश्चन है। तो यहाँ पे कंपैरिजन का बात नहीं हो सकता है। एट द सेम टाइम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेसिटी का आप बात कर रहे थे, तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेसिटी अगर नहीं बढ़ा होता तो जो फिगर्स हम लोग ऑलरेडी आई थिंक 2-3 बार रिपीट किए हैं, वो फिगर्स आते ही नहीं सामने। चाहे वो किसी भी सेक्टर में, जो भी सेक्टर्स जैसे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स हो गया या ऑटोमोबाइल हो गया, ऑटो कंपोनेंट्स या फार्मा हो गया, मैं डोमेस्टिक का ही बात कर रहा हूँ, एक्सपोर्ट्स छोड़ के ही बात कर रहा हूँ।
लेकिन ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर लाइक एवरेज टाइम देखते हैं ना, कि मतलब ऐसे कुछ मेजर सेक्टर इसका देखते, पोर्ट्स का नहीं देखते ना, टोटल देखते ना एवरेज।
टोटल पोर्ट्स हैं 27, उन सभी का अगर हम एवरेज लेते हैं तो 60 to 70। ओके फाइन। अब दूसरी बात आती है, अगर हम कंपेयर कंपेयर करें चाइना से फॉर कंपैरिजन सेक, चाइना के पास 200+ पोर्ट्स हैं, और उन पूरे 200+
पहली
पोर्ट्स
बात
का
तो just like to understand and highlight one thing, that it has increased because there is an evolution in place, right? In terms of manpower, in terms of systems, in terms of automation, everything. Coming to your question, also, I would say uh, whatever development programs, skill development programs government has, and let's say to reskill over 60% of workers, if the government finds that that is not enough, then of course there will be evolution, the system will evolve, right? It won't remain the same. Banking system, for instance, or let's say any manufacturing system, in terms of, let's say, whether it's electronics or automobile, it's not the same right now compared to 10 years back.
Basically, the scores are 103 to 137. Product development team cruised ahead this time around, and it got 138 points. It did well both in logic and in research. Presentation wise, both teams were equal. So congratulations, product development team. Before the debate, Abhay was so nervous, so nervous. I've never seen somebody so nervous about debating, about talking. But I mean, they both came out with flying colors. Congratulations to them.